This conference will now be recorded.
The Cottage Grove Town Board will hold a public meeting beginning at 7 p.m. on Monday, March 21st, 2022 at the Town Hall, 4058 County Road N. You can also join the meeting by GoToMeeting. We have a quorum present. Meeting was posted at the Town Hall and on the website. I'll call the meeting to order and we'll stand for the flag pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. You have the minutes of our last meeting, March 7th.
Move approval as presented.
Second.
Motion by Williams, second by Duplay to approve the minutes for March 7th, 2022 as presented. Any discussion on that motion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Finance report and approval of bills. And Deb's homesick.
When we bought that generator, was it this last year or was it 2 years ago? Because I noticed that you have like 400 and.
That's repair service on the big generator at the fire station.
Okay. I thought it was for the downstairs one.
No, that's the yearly maintenance that we
Okay.
do on that one.
All right, sorry, my mistake. I'll move the town board pays checks 35,352 to 35,374 be paid.
Motion by Duplay. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Fonger to approve checks 35,352 through 35,374 be paid. Any discussion on that motion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. You also have your unaudited cash and investment balance of $2,793,659.36. And you have the February building permits.
Motion to approve the building permits as presented.
Motion by Anders,
Second.
second by Duplay to approve the building permits for February as presented. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. And your per diems will be due April 1st. Any questions? And you also got the March court docket for your information. Next item is public concerns, public's opportunity to speak to town board about any subject that's not specific agenda item. I have Paul Vitucci here. Sure.
Hey guys, I'm Paul Vitucci. You probably never seen me before, but you recognize me this way. I want to bring light to a project that I have presented to you starting in November, which was the storage and staging project on North Star Road for Redline Water Sports, the boat dealership. I'll give you a quick little history. I won't take much of your time, but this is important. In November, I presented to the Planning Commission our proposal, which was under or fell under all the guidelines of the state, county, and the township. So legally, we were good that night. But then, as the Planning Commission's duty is, we got into discussions outside of the law, and some points were brought up that we could not properly answer at the time. It was tabled to the next month. December Plan Commission meeting, we came back with the answers that were asked of us at that time. As spirited discussion ensued, it was asserted that the business plan that I promoted, that I would lie, that I would not be just storing boats, or I would just be storing boats in there and not be servicing them. And then another question was asked of me is, because we wanted 10 buildings on the property, which was significantly under the available coverage that we could, how much is enough? I didn't have an answer for that question. But after 3 rounds, we got that approved and went on to the town board, for which in January, we showed up to the town board meeting to present and get final approval with no changes, as we had a lively discussion ensued, and it was approved, but with a request. Outside of the law or the statute, it was asked of us to consider leaving space available for a road and reducing 2 buildings. And from January until now, we have worked very hard to be able to get final approval. And it has been, frankly, a horrible experience. At that January board meeting, I had my attorney present, because I'm not a lawyer, I'm a boat dealer, just to make sure that we were in compliance with what state, county, and local statutes ensue, which we were. And tonight he's not here. I'm here just to speak with you guys. But in that process and in the conversations then, you guys jumped behind your attorney, and then now the attorneys have been hashing it out. And in subsequent conversations, the goalposts have been moved significantly in this process. What was a simple request that we had to go back and meet with the civil engineer, look at the plan of what that 66-foot road would do to our project, how we would be able to manage that, we had to make some serious adjustments. It was really not going to work all that well for me, the landowner, to have that 66-foot road and be able to conduct the business as the way as I presented to you guys in November. So I paid the civil engineer to modify the plans, to shorten the build, a couple of the buildings up so we could get in, make an access when you haul a boat. That's a lot of boat. These boats are getting bigger. So we did that in good faith to be a good member of the community outside of the law. I want to be a good neighbor. We presented this. They asked for a development agreement. We've been back and forth. On Wednesday of this week or last week, we presented all of our information to your attorney. Thursday went by, nothing. Friday went by, nothing. Saturday went by, nothing. And at 6:30 p.m. on Saturday evening, I get this email. And I'm going to quote it to you. It's not a big quote. Please send it in editable form along with Exhibit C. Thanks, Bill. What does that mean? We sent that electronic communication to him in what's called PDF document, portable document file. It's a simple, benign document that you can't modify. Everybody sends them around. It's very common. Your attorney wanted it in an editable format. It takes 30 seconds to copy and paste the words on a PDF document into a Word document, a common application that is used by everybody in the world to make adjustments to. Maybe 5 minutes if you have a law degree, but everybody else, 30 seconds. Saturday at 6:30 p.m. Today is Monday. We never could have gotten on the agenda. Well, early this morning, our attorney dutifully sent your attorney the same thing in an editable format. Now, either your attorney is very incompetent or he's being instructed to slow drag this thing, and believe me, and it's not right. I've done everything you've asked of me. But the one thing I haven't done is really kind of answered the question, how much is enough? First of all, in America, I didn't think that was an issue. I thought we had the right to try to earn something for ourselves. But I'm going to give you an answer. Reducing the one building off the property that would be the road, we ran the numbers for 10 years, And this is conservative because these buildings last a lot longer, and I sure as heck hope my business will. It's been around for 22 years. That's $1 million in revenue. 1 million, okay. We had to shorten some of the buildings so we can get in if this road goes in. That's $500,000 over 10 years, $1.5 million. We were gonna build 3 buildings this year, but I got a mortgage for just the land and the building number 1. I went back to Monona Bank and went to Ryan, my banker, after the town board meeting, said, Ryan, we got to put other 2 buildings. I have already got those buildings filled for this year. Can we get the loan process going? We're going through the SBA. He said, yeah, no problem. We get all said, Paul, we love you. Everything's good. Your financials are great. Because we can't give you that loan. I said, why, Ryan? Because you don't have permission and you can't start construction. He says, if you get that permit or that approval, we're good. All right, Ryan, just hold everything. It's going to happen. This is January. It's now March. This week, I got a call from Travis at Cleary Buildings, the builder of the buildings. He goes, Paul, I got some bad news for you. Because of supply chain and inflation and all that, the last 2 buildings that we were going to build for you and quoted you at $250,000 a building have now gone up to $300,000 a building. I'm sorry, man. It's just the way. I said, I understand, Travis. I'm facing that in my business. So we're now at $1.6 million over 10 years of revenue that we're not going to realize. Most of that revenue, and I was very clear about this, goes to my employees. I make out in the end in 20 years, if I get out of this business, that's my retirement. It's the retail asset is where I get. But in the process, I personally don't gain that much. That money goes right really to my great team, the current employees and those who I'll hire as this project increases. And finally, we're at $1.6 million. Here's a $5,000 bill from the law firm for all the interactions they've had in this process. So now we're at $1,605,000. How much is enough? You got that out of me right now. I'm frustrated, yes. But all I'm asking is to have this project approved. What you have asked for me. Oh, and the architectural, we did that too, and we moved the buildings. It feels better. Beauty's in the eye of the beholder. I hope it's not what you had said, and it was a salient point. I'm asking to have this project, I have these buildings filled, but your attorney is holding this up. And I checked as of 5 o'clock today, there has been no response from him.
Was this plan gone to the planning commission?
Bill, or Mike, it's not for discussion.
No, it's not. No.
No. This is in the hands of the town board and the town attorney, and I can't get on the agenda because there's an attorney in the way. So this is the only way I can speak with you, and I want to get this on the public record of what's going on behind the scenes. That was a garbage email at 6 o'clock on Saturday. Please send it editable. Think about that. That's what your attorney said to me, to this whole project, my team. I thank you for your time. I want to be a good neighbor, and I hope that you guys do the right thing.
Anyone online for public concerns? No hands? Richard?
Is the bridge on Uploff Road still on the docket to be torn out this year? That's fine, great.
That and Femrite.
Great.
Haven't had a pre-construction meeting yet, but that will be coming.
Thank you.
Coming. Any road right-of-way permits?
7. It's springtime.
All for the same company?
No, most of them are. This one's Charter. That's just to continue work, doing what they've been doing, all the fiber in various areas. And then these are all in the Northeast Ridge Edition. So Sunset Court, Circle High. So all new gas installed. There's six of them.
Yeah.
So they ran all new gas, natural gas up there last year.
Is that in that new development?
No,
No,
Nope.
existing.
existing. They were all propane hooked up before.
Oh,
They all got natural gas now, so
new gas in,
that's not all of them. There'll be more to come.
yeah.
It's just 6 of the
Well, it's
houses.
just nice finally that they've been finally starting to get out to, I don't want to say the fringes, but some of the more rural subdivisions so they can get off of propane if they choose to do so.
Yeah, we'll see those and Rafford probably coming in here.
Well, it's so hugely expensive for propane.
Sure, unless you bought early,
Huh?
unless you bought early this year.
Yeah.
Everything looked good though on all of them. And I talked to Kirk on that one.
I don't use for things.
I guess that you would, right?
It's fuel oil. I didn't pay any fuel oil. How much it would?
3 bottles of Advil. I'll move approval of the Charter Spectrum application for continued work, I'll say throughout the township. And then additionally for Wisconsin Power and Light for the,
Sunset Ridge neighborhood.
yeah, there you go.
Motion by Anders, second by Duplay to approve Charter Spectrum, various locations in the township, and Wisconsin Power and Light up in Sunset Ridge be approved. Any other discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Abstentions? Motion carried. February police activities. Hello,
How are you all today?
good.
So looking at charts real quick, because I don't think you guys want to listen to my voice much longer than you have to. The check areas, check properties are again pretty inflated. I wouldn't freak out about it or be concerned. The majority of those always come in as people who are out of town or on vacation. We're checking those properties regularly when we're working.
Spring break.
Yeah, right, they're partying, okay? So that's the main drive behind that influx. Traffic's still up there. Some check properties, sometimes assist citizens may also account for, I think I mentioned last meeting too, I've noticed, some more garage doors open lately. So some of that might account for that as well.
Yeah,
Not huge, just something, again, remind people, lock your doors, close your garages at night, things like that. I just want to make sure people remember that, because I know it's easy to forget, especially to our mother now. And since I'm on the subject, I brought up traffic as well, and I don't think I have much more to add. Beth actually just approached me a second ago and lives on Gaston, and she just had a couple concerns she would kind of like to address, if you guys would be willing to.
sure.
So, we're having a continual problem, as everyone knows, on Gaston Road, both going east and westbound. Most of the issues are early in the morning and later in the afternoon when people are coming to and from work. The speed limit is posted 35 miles an hour.
For part of it on the
Okay,
east.
I should say like from where, let's see, Gaston Circle, that intersects Gaston to, I believe it's called Raven Way.
Right before that.
Yes, yes.
Before that.
And yeah, that stretch there is marked 35 miles an hour. We're continually having issues where they're just barreling through there. And we had several incidences last year. We just had another one last week again, where somebody tried to pass a school bus on the hill as kids are trying to, they're totally ignoring. And I just happened to be looking out my window because I was leaving that early to go pick up my granddaughter. Otherwise, I would have probably even seen it. But it's like, so they were going, let's see, the bus was on the very top.
Going west.
Let me think, going west. No, I'm sorry, going
Towards
east.
Mad-
It would be
Madison?
going towards Milwaukee.
Okay,
So
okay,
it would be going east, yes. And so anyway, so there were several cars behind the school bus, because you have to wait when he puts the lights on, right? Well, the last one didn't want to wait and tried to pass. And there's a double line on the road.
Right.
And they ignore it. But So that's just one of many incidents that happen continually. And I know that the police department can support us. There's so many speeders. So just trying to figure out how we can alleviate some of this, speeding. I hear that we cannot lower the speed limit any lower than 35, and that's correct.
Yeah.
So my next suggestion, as we're, talking to the neighbors, we're trying to brainstorm, how can we make it safer? Traffic is getting much faster, more continual through there. What about I know down Main Street here, they have a speed limit, and then there is flashing lights around the speed limit. And there's also one that has on there how fast the driver is going. Can we possibly look at something like that? Now, we went online just to look to see how much the price was, because you're going to need them both in both directions. And they start out between $3,000 and $4,000. Now, that's on a very inexpensive one. But to help everyone out is, why can't we have one of those and maybe have a warning or whatever? I mean, it's clearly marked 35, but they're going way past that. Way past it. And there's so many tickets.
Can I,
It's just, yeah.
I'm gonna refrain from giving opinions, just thinking out loud, ideas, thoughts. I know you mentioned the speed board, or the signs with the speed board.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'd have to talk to the county. We have a speed board. I could talk to them about getting that out there. I know last year I had brought it up. The biggest concern is the standards we have to meet to be able to put it up. You can't just put it anywhere you want. It has to be a specific kind of property. The ditch has to be a particular way. So we have to make sure it be a location that it would actually be able to sit on. And I know when we were going back and forth last year about it a little bit, and we had talked about it, Gaston was a little tricky. But I can bring it up again, and hopefully it's early enough in the year that no one beat me to the board and I might get dibs on it. So I can talk to our guy who runs that and just see, because before maybe we would talk, and I don't know, budget isn't my business. I know nothing about numbers, but maybe before spending the money to install, we could do like a trial run or something like that and see, is it helping? If it doesn't, let's look at what else is another idea. And if it is, it's a better consideration and you have like a stronger movement behind that. I don't know what you guys think of that, or if you think that's anything. I'm literally just shooting stuff out of my
I
head.
just want to say, welcome to my nightmare. Well, I live off Sandpiper Trail.
Yes, yes.
So that's, I get people running at stop sign at the Nightingale constantly. And I don't know that the officers can only do so much. I'm at a loss.
Can you check with Jen and see if she would be willing to flex her hours to start early to look at that morning rush hour traffic? And you're on for the evenings.
I wonder,
It's like 5:30 in the morning. where
thoughts
they
out loud again.
Really start, I mean, it starts in at 5:30. Now, there's some chronic people. You can hear them from a distance, but they go so fast, you can't get the license plates. I mean, that's how fast they're going through there.
So 5:30, when would you say is the highest issue? If you had to like
6:30.
6:30, so
Yeah.
maybe like 6:30 to 7:30 or 5:30 to 7:30-ish?
So the hot times are from 5:30 until about 8 o'clock in the morning.
Okay. And what about the evening?
Evening,
That's
it
another-
starts at about 3:30 and goes until 6 o'clock.
So that was my other concern, is I'll sit a lot of nights, but by the time I get out there, I don't start till 5 p.m. So by the time I get there and I'm sitting for a little bit, It dies down quite a bit.
Yeah.
You can
yeah.
still get people who will fly, but it dies down.
You both could flex your hours
I was
to
gonna say, I could come in early too, and
maybe
yeah.
catch some of that.
Mhm. And I'll talk, I mean, I guess I can't speak for Jen. I don't know, I'll
Right.
talk to her.
Yeah.
She's pretty open though, you know that.
Yes.
I'll chat with her tonight or tomorrow or shoot her a text. And I mean, I'm fine with that too. That's not an issue.
And then next Monday, Josh starts.
Cake.
Jacob.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
It
Jake
starts with the
starts
J.
Monday, so we'll get him kind of trained up to everything with the town stuff and then he'll be around. So having him will also help more
right,
with us being able to like cover those timeframes. And
yeah.
I'm sure he won't really have a problem flexing either. And I'll mention it to him as well.
Okay,
Does that sound like a plan, guys?
yeah.
I'm assuming mainly weekdays,
Yes.
because I've noticed weekends are much more
Yes,
inconsistent.
yes.
Okay.
Well, and that's another thing too, is one of the dangers that is, because the weather's getting better, or warmer, I should say, we're getting significantly more bikers and runners,
Mhm.
especially, from down in the industrial during their lunch break. So they say, when you're going that fast, you can't see them.
Right.
So there's not really anywhere for the sun to go.
Okay.
Thank you.
Try flexing those hours if you guys can.
Yeah, absolutely. I said, even if she can't necessarily class, I'll still come in a little early, but I don't think she'll have a problem. But we can always shoot you guys an email.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay,
Anything else for me before I run out on you? Because I don't want to run.
I don't think so.
Keep up the
Good.
good work.
Thank you.
You guys have a wonderful evening. You're welcome.
All right. Next item, discuss and consider approval of the ride, cancer benefit bicycle ride on September 25th, 2022 to utilize the following town roads: Deerfield Road, West Jargo, Nora Road, West Ridge, Uphoff, Morning Dove, Sandpiper, Bluebird, Ravenway, and Gaston Road.
It looks like they've contacted the people that they need to.
Yeah.
They already have an arrangement with Deer Grove. I do know that. Jill Schmitz is online if you have any questions for her. This is the same route I believe that they used last year. That was the first year that they used this route where it went through more neighborhoods, so.
It looks well planned and says that they will deliver the letters stamped for mailing to people.
To us.
To us and then we mail them.
Right. Sounds good.
Questions, comments?
I don't have any questions. I would move approval of the ride.
I got a couple.
Oh, okay, sorry.
I'll wait for a second.
Okay,
and then we'll-
no, all right, I'll second it.
Okay, motion by Williams, second by DePlay to approve the ride, bike ride on September 25th.
I'm just curious as to how they're gonna handle all the stop signs on Sandpiper Trail now.
You're gonna stop for them.
Do they have to stop for them?
It's a stop sign.
I'm just asking, are they
It's a
gonna,
stop.
but are they
sign.
gonna have people there watching?
Probably not.
So what's to prevent someone from riding through a stop sign?
Nothing, just like anybody does nowadays. Mike.
Well, I think they're up last year at this time.
Any other discussion?
I actually had a
All those in
question.
favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Next item, discuss, consider date for public information meeting regarding proposed intergovernmental agreement with the city of Madison. I posed to them that we would do it on 4/18. They will do it on 4/19 at the city council. And we are planning on sending out postcards to
Everyone in
everyone that's
area
in
A,
that area.
area A.
Yeah. to let them know. So,
Oh, that's our third, that's our second regular meeting.
yeah, I didn't want to do it on the 4th because it's right before election.
No, that's, no, I'm okay with that.
I'm okay with that also.
So I would make the motion that we set the public information meeting for 4/18 at 7 PM.
Second.
Motion by Hampton, second by Williams, set for the public information meeting for 4/18 at 7 PM. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Next item, discuss, consider appointment of additional emergency government committees. I propose that we appoint Richard Wood as a citizen member and Mike Duplay as a additional town board member.
Is that a motion or do we need?
I don't think I should make the motion. I'm submitting those two names to you.
I would make that a motion then to appoint Mr. Wood and Mike Duplay to the Emergency Government Committee.
Motion by Williams. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Anders to appoint Richard Wood and Michael Duplay to the emergency government. Any discussion?
So how does this fit in with your spring appointments? So then do they
We'll do it all.
you do it again?
We'll do it all again in May.
So they'll basically expire in May and then you're gonna stagger them somehow, maybe?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Stagger what?
Stagger the appointments
So
so we
everybody-
don't get rid of both of
Oh,
you two
okay.
on the
I
same
got it.
year
Yeah.
and or the citizen members so that there's some overlap.
Well, I shouldn't match with him then, right?
Yeah, you
Okay.
won't because you're this year, he'll be next year
Okay, yeah.
up,
All right.
if that ever happens. So, did we vote?
No.
All those in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Abstentions?
Aye.
Motion carried. Next item, discuss and consider approval of standard forfeiture amounts for town ordinance violations as recommended by the town judge. Here comes the judge. Here comes the judge. And is the current one the highlighted yellow?
That's the amount that is the town forfeiture. All the other numbers go to other places.
Right. That's what current, the yellow is the current,
That's what
that's
she's
the
recommending.
proposed.
Yeah, what was current? There was only maybe like 15 things on the current forfeiture schedule. It was really interesting what was on this current schedule that they were utilizing before. So basically what I did was started from scratch and generated a whole new template. Because what they had also had like duplicates in there, and then they had to try to kind of decide which amount that they were going to pick from or which ordinance they were going to pick from. And I think it was kind of creating some confusion amongst the deputies of which, maybe which ordinance to select in the tracks system that they were issuing for citations. And sometimes maybe they're kind of trying to decide which one, and sometimes there were maybe some inconsistencies. So it was really a matter of cleaning up the table. And so this is kind of providing more clarity and pulling out really all of the ordinances that the town has. So one thing I did notice though, as I was going through, is that we don't have anything in here specifically for your adopted by reference statutes. So all of the statutes that you have adopted by reference in chapter, like just as an example, under chapter 10, you've got a whole bunch of statutes that are just adopted by reference where you pull in a whole bunch of things. I'm assuming that they probably just link those straight to a forfeiture amount that's in the bond book. And so the deputies are just pulling those in from the bond book. and using that forfeiture amount. And so, and that's fine, because I think you use, in your chapter 25, you have a general section here, but I don't know if in chapter 10 you need to, and this is something where I would maybe talk to your town attorney if there needs to be any language in chapter 10 that references 2504, where you're talking about 2504 1A, sorry, you don't have the ordinances in front of you, but where they would be utilizing the bond book amount instead of the ordinance forfeitures amount, like just providing a little bit more clarity on how you reference the forfeiture. So
Bond book.
the bond book is, it's a standardized book that kind of indicates forfeiture amounts, and it's something that's utilized throughout the entire state.
From where though? Is it from the state?
Yeah.
Something from the state?
So
Yeah.
it's like if you're speeding, what, 10 to 14 over, it's
Yes.
this amount?
It identifies
Okay.
a standard amount, kind of, but there's all sorts of different violations in that bond book. So, but what you've also done though is you have ordinances, and then you've got forfeiture amounts for your various ordinances is what you have too. And so your ordinances is what we've done is we've created a table here for your specific ordinances. Separate from those statutes that are adopted by reference. And I'm pretty sure what you're doing then is those statutes that are adopted by reference, they're just pulling them from the bond book. And that's kind of where we also want to verify that those ones that are being pulled in from the bond book are actually matching the bond book forfeiture amounts. And I think that's something we can verify with, we can have the court clerk verify that with Dane County. Anyway, beyond that, so the second thing I thought of while I was going through this has to do with juveniles. You guys don't have anything in your ordinance that distinguishes a difference for juveniles, like a difference in forfeiture amounts for juveniles. And a lot of municipalities do something like that, where they might have a little bit different language for just maybe a different, like just maybe juveniles receive a different forfeiture amount, or but the court also does something a little bit different for juveniles regardless, as we're doing judgment. So it's important that we have some flexibility with juveniles. I just want you to keep that in mind too, as we're pondering juvenile judgment. But I did notice that we don't have anything referenced juveniles in the ordinances that much. But also juveniles, if they get a citation and they're 12 or 13 years old, the court can't impose costs like additional costs or charges or fees. So it would just be a typical forfeiture amount. And that's really important to note, that we don't talk about that at all in the ordinances. But that's something I would kind of know anyway while issuing judgment. So I don't know if it's really important to put that in there, because I would process it that way anyway. But I wanted to mention that to you, as that's maybe something you could discuss while you're updating ordinances or in discussions with the town attorney. So.
If I recall correctly, the municipal ordinance citation, non-traffic related, say for example, okay, you have, or excuse me, the juvenile, once they get to, I'm trying to remember the age, is it 14?
Yeah.
Where they can actually be assessed if convicted of whatever that particular ordinance might be, but then you can use your judicial discretion to say, well, I'm not going to fine that child, $250, which would be inappropriate in my mind. It's going to be X amount of dollars, whatever that is.
Yes. Yeah.
So you still want to see something to reference.
That's why I'm saying, that's why I want to consider the flexibility on how, if you chose to put something in the ordinance about juveniles, that we keep that in mind about the importance of the flexibility and the discretion, because the court already has a particular process that we utilize with the juveniles in regards to judgment, and that we oftentimes consider community service really important with juveniles, and we utilize that.
Or CPR.
classes and such.
Yes,
So you-
absolutely.
So
We,
basically what you're asking us to is expand your role?
no, neither. It's just that we don't mention juveniles at all in chapter 25 or the forfeitures or difference or distinguishment in the forfeiture amounts. And that was something that as I was going through this process, I did some consultation with other judges and they looked at this too and they were like, gosh, you know, you guys don't talk about juveniles at all throughout your
So
ordinances.
we should have to be able to look at chapter 25 in regards to handling juveniles.
Yeah, but I also want to be really important not to affect our current process because that process that we utilize here in the town of Cottage Grove is really special.
Right.
And it's really important, I think, to the way we operate and to the things we offer here in the town and the way we handle our court and the way we handle our juveniles. So the things we offer. So I don't want to affect that process.
Right. So all the ones that are listed on our 3 pages, we could adopt those tonight.
Yeah, those ones we got through. I think that there's nothing wrong with what we've established there for sure. So take a look at them. If you have any questions, let me know. Basically, it's pretty much middle of the road. It allows some flexibility still. And some.
Why are some of
range.
them so high? Like, I'm looking at the battery, is it 496? And letting a dog run free and bite somebody is 496.
Those are some pretty significant violations.
I'm not saying that they're not, but I mean, are we that much lower? Or do you want us to go up to that much?
We're gonna go to 496
Yeah.
is what she's suggesting.
Yeah, and there's still the option to come into court and there's flexibility for reduction in the forfeiture amount when
Okay.
they come in.
Because I mean, a lot of these are just for $50 or $25. And I don't,
If you look at the range, that's like the high end of the range.
I understand that.
Offense. Right?
Yeah, that's the citation they'll be issued. So if they're issued a citation, that's what the citation is written at.
okay.
Whatever, all the numbers in brown, they're nothing to do with anything we're talking about.
The numbers in brown are, that's like court costs. Those are the additional charge,
No.
like the fees that are added on, surcharges and just additional fees that are added onto the ticket.
State, county.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not ours.
I have a question about the second to the bottom on the first page, damage or destruction of property. You don't have anything specific listed there. And then over on the right, it says personally liable up to $2,500.
That's what's in your ordinance.
10.03 parent 1.
Ordinance doesn't have it, any class forfeitures listed. It just says that.
Yeah.
And
So
the
there's no-
book doesn't have anything either. Really?
So there's no punitive assessments.
Damage or destruction of property, 10.3.1. Let's look at it real quick since you're asking. 10.3.1.
And I was surprised to see just the one below it for trespass on the land also.
Right.
There's no,
Well, and these may be things that need to be
Address.
addressed in the actual ordinance.
I would like to have us address them. Both.
Yeah, and so if they get written at that ordinance, I mean, then that's what it would be, but it doesn't mean that the deputy can't actually cite them for a statute that's referent, like a reference statute. So a totally different thing that they might find in the bond book. And that's where we might have something in the bond book that could be, let me find something else. Because under 10.2, you've got all of these referenced ones. You've got, they might end up citing them for like, what was that, damage to property?
Trespass.
And
to a
then,
dwelling on or land, 10.3 parent 2. Damage or destruction was,
So is there,
Fair
and they're both, the both of them are in 10.03. Is there no penalties listed for 10.03?
No, but I wondered if there was another statute. There's a trust, okay, so under crimes to property, criminal damage to property is 943.1 or .01 parent 1. So if they cite them under the statute, they could cite them in the bond book with a forfeiture amount. And then the trespass to land is 943.13. That's another one that's referenced by statute in the bond book. So they would have to pull in something through the bond book that would include a forfeiture amount. So it's almost like you're duplicating it in your ordinance.
yeah,
Does that make sense?
yep.
And I don't know, and that's something I guess to ask your attorney about.
okay.
So when it says over here, first offense, like the forfeiture is $50. And then it says
Mhm.
$50 to $500.
Second offense.
No, it
That's,
says first offense.
so that's what the range could be. That's what she's picking is what they should cite. Because they aren't able to slide in that range. They have something to pick from, one number. And so that's why we're doing this, because they
We're
didn't,
looking at just $50 then on the item.
if that's what that one is, but some of them that are more severe, she didn't go for the lowest one.
So why do we always go for the lowest one on most of these?
It's not always the lowest one.
I mean, if we're looking down the line here,
Well, even school bus warning lights is 0.
And that's another one that is not clear in our ordinance. It references 2504, but that's the whole ordinance, and it doesn't say which class of forfeiture it's supposed to be.
Would that fall in the bond book then also?
School bus warning lights. You mean like they are, the school bus doesn't have their warning lights on?
You know, someone.
No,
goes
someone
out-
passes the school bus.
Someone doesn't pass the school bus.
Section 9.12 in our ordinance.
Just looking to see if there's something in statute.
Because they must, obviously they use the bond book for that because of the fact that I'm sure,
Statewide.
There's gotta be
Chapter
something.
9.
well, no, there is because of the fact how many cases has our judge heard from people passing
cars.
I mean, she's shaking her head like, yeah. So, I mean,
Oh, yeah, here we go. Here's a whole bunch of the traffic ones. Here's to stop for school buses. That's, you actually have a special ordinance one, 34648. And then you have a penalty for that one. That's a class C forfeiture, which was,
It should be
50 to 500.
what did we put that
Class
one
C
at?
is 25 to 75.
So they must be citing that one under, they just must be using the
State statute.
statute for it.
Yeah.
The town gets that much. The total ticket is actually for this amount right here because they have to pay all these extra fees.
yeah, I understand that.
Okay.
What I'm saying is,
We want to accept what's
here
in
it says,
the yellow column.
you know,
I move that we vote to accept what's in the yellow column.
We're saying. only 50.
Motion by Duplace, second by Williams, to accept the judge's request for the forfeiture amounts, all in the yellow column. Any
Discussion.
discussion?
Yes. Okay, I still don't get it.
Okay.
I still don't get where, like the second one there, alcohol beverage license. What does that mean? That means,
That means you're selling alcohol without a license.
okay, so why,
It costs you $124 just a ticket for.
okay,
The town gets 50 of that. Everybody else gets the rest.
okay,
But it's 50 to 100, 50 to 500, first offense, 500 to 1,500, second
Yes.
offense. And if they go to, so if they just pay the 50,
No, they'll pay the 124.
or what, right, but I mean,
Yeah.
if they just pay the what they're written the ticket for, that's the end of it. But if they go to court, then she can go either way with it. And that's what I don't know, like, what if it's a second offense? You won't get a chance to make it worse for them unless they come to court, right?
Right.
Yeah,
it's just, that doesn't make sense.
but that's how it works. The deputies don't have that information. They don't, and they only have one amount to pick from. They
Okay,
don't-
so if the amount was $500, what would the ticket be total then?
It's
100.
percentage. No, it'd be percentages. All these percentages go up in the brown, depending upon.
That's what I'm asking.
Yes.
So why would we want to just make it the lowest amount?
Why?
Wouldn't it be better to have your discretion?
You don't want to.
So if we made it the highest amount, everybody would come to court and everybody would want to come to trial.
Our costs go way up.
Does
You
that
want to make
sense?
it hurt enough that they'll think about doing it a second time or not.
Well, $50 ain't gonna do it.
No, it's
No,
not
it's
50 bucks.
124.
125, whatever.
I think you want people to go hold themselves accountable for what they've done
Right.
and go, yep, you know what, I did it.
I
If
screwed
they
up.
did it and go, yeah, that was $124, I did it. And you don't want the court system to be overwhelmed by everybody coming into court to fight a $600 ticket. Because that's excessive.
Yeah.
A $600 ticket is excessive. So if you start charging everybody at the highest amount possible, you're gonna have everybody coming into court.
But if you went to Dane County Court, you'd probably be paying more because we don't have the court to have that many people coming to court. We'd have court 3-4 days a week or whatever, probably.
Right,
But if you went to Dane County Court, would you pay more?
I don't know.
Well, that's what I don't understand.
We're looking at what town of Cottage Grove would charge for the
Okay, so-
fence versus
yeah.
what Dane County would charge for the fence could be totally different.
Yeah, it could be.
So it
Yes.
depends on how they write that ticket when they're in the town of Cottage Grove. If they're writing it
So
against
the
the
people on
town's
the
ordinance.
contract that come to our court basically are gonna, somebody gets picked up on 12 and 18, not by our cop, but by somebody else, is probably gonna be totally different.
Correct. No,
Then what we-
the speeding tickets, if they go to county court, will be charged under the bound book, under the state statutes, okay?
Correct.
Which, again, it's a poor example because of the fact that speeding is pretty much bond book. It's the same whether you're in Dane County or Ozaki County or Clark County, that's the same.
Yeah.
It's the individual jurisdictional ordinances, the town of Cottage
Got
Grove, Dane County. You know, Dane County might charge, say for the dog thing, you know, whatever that was, we charged X amount of dollars. The county could have quite a bit higher
Yeah.
in their ordinance. And then,
Mhm.
but we're choosing to charge this under the judge's recommendation. The only thing I was gonna question is to, if there's a second offense listed for the same violation, when it comes to you, you're going to know, and you're going to have the ability to modify that ticket because it's a
Second offense.
second offense or whatever.
Yep, it'll be in our system here, and our court clerk will typically be able to see the history of, yep, that was a first offense. And a lot of times, hopefully I'll remember that I saw that person in the last couple years here already in court, and I'll be like, oh, this is the second time I've seen you in the last couple years for
Where
a
you
similar
go back here?
offense. You're back here. So a lot of times there's that recollection. But I think the point I'm trying to get at is that I think we want to be fair with our forfeiture amounts. We don't want to be excessive, and we don't want to overwhelm the court system with people coming in here all the time because they feel like they received an unjust ticket for an excessive amount. They want to be held accountable, like they want to hold themselves accountable for their actions fairly.
Like I
and-
said, hold their feet to the flames for a little.
Yeah, like if they did something wrong, they'll go, oh yeah, I did that, it's in my
Up there.
forfeiture.
I wonder if the second ticket or the second offense, would that be between 500 and 1,500 then?
You know, there's a range there. It's either going to be similar to what they've received before or potentially higher. There's a range. So
Okay, where does it say that?
The second offense range is higher than the first offense range for everything.
Well, I'm looking at that, yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm saying if if we go with the first offense is $50, and some of these, the second offense range is $500 to $1,500.
yeah,
But we don't have to go by that.
Doesn't know that.
But we wouldn't go by that?
we're going to go by what's written in ordinance.
Okay. In the ordinance,
She'll see it.
okay.
She'll see that it's the
Are we-
second offense that you were in here
Are we-
for driving 25 miles
Okay.
an hour over the speed.
Where does it say this? What the second offense is then?
In their history, their history, their
Who's
record,
history?
the defendant's record.
Yeah, but I'm saying, where does it say in our ordinance what the second offense is then?
In your in your forfeiture ordinance, there's a range. It's the last two columns.
50 to 500.
Do you want to see it?
I'm asking, is that what it is then?
Yes.
If the first one's $50.
It's
the
not
next one-
$50, Mike.
I understand, $123.
Right.
Okay. Is the second one gonna be between
Some-
500 and 1,500? That's what I'm asking.
So it depends too what class it is. So like there's different classes. There's class Bs, class Cs, class Ds. And depending on what class forfeiture they receive, they might fall within a different range for their second offense.
Well, right. So if you look at your table here, the second one down is a class D forfeiture. So the first violation should be between 50 and 500. And the second violation should be between 500 and 1,500 somewhere. And then that's at the discretion of the judge. But
Right.
with this yellow column, it would mean that the initial ticket would be written for 50 plus all the other ones, but the town's portion would be written for the 50. And then if it was discovered, that's what I was asking. So if it was discovered that it was a second offense, can you increase the ticket amount if they don't come to court?
Yeah.
Okay. So then
So
Dan-
you've got the freedom to do that.
Danielle would say, wait a minute, she'd get the ticket from the deputy and she'd say, wait a minute, this is this person's second offense. And then you would be able to increase it somewhere between 50 and 500.
What if they have paid this ticket, this
That's-
$124 before
so-
you discover it's a second offense?
Right. I have the discretion to do it. And I'll be honest with you, I typically don't increase the forfeiture amounts on the second offense. Like I typically don't, but I have the discretion to. So.
Whatever.
Any other discussion on the motion? Then all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Abstentions, motion carried. So we'll get those to Lieutenant Frakes.
Yeah, yeah. We'll get that to the sheriff's department and,
And we'll hear back from Mr. Cole on the one item.
yeah, the juvenile issue, right?
Right.
Okay.
So the next item, discuss, consider approval of Dane County zoning ordinance 2021-03058, modifying the definition of daycare center. And what the DCA guidance they give us.
We didn't discuss it.
Oh. It's just coming into compliance with state law. From what I read, Dane County lists 9 and it has to be 8 now. Doesn't do anything more than that. Any action?
I move approval of it. Oh, wait. 058.
Motion by Anders, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Williams to approve OA 058, Dane County zoning ordinance. Discussion. Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Discuss and consider road projects for grants and town funding.
Good evening.
Can we still get in for any of these?
Well, it's not as promising that you would like to hear, I guess, tonight, what we'll be talking about here shortly. So what maybe most of you have heard, there's money still out there in the world and new programs still coming available in the future.
Wasn't there one due like the end of this month that you had to?
Yep, coming up in April here. So that one, they're all underneath called the BIL, the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law. The one that's coming up here is a 2-part process, you could say. The first part is going to be due in April, and then the second part is due in the June timeframe. First, the regulations were pretty stringent, and then the last couple months they loosened them up to be more favorable for municipalities from that perspective, where they were focused more towards county highway roadways reconstruction and like state roadways being reconstructed. But with the last discussions and modifications they made to the the grant funding process, they did loosen that up so it can go towards just a standard roadway now that doesn't fall in the county or state. The caveat, after digging into it a little bit more, and I was talking to Dan earlier about it, I'm going to follow up with the DOT representative who approves it. The downside is that any roadways that have parcels that go to the center line of the roadway themselves, you cannot qualify.
So townships.
Yeah.
Really crazy.
Parcels to the center, like,
And we still have a lot of them.
wow, we do.
Yeah, so
Jesus Christ. You gotta be, how would somebody come up with something like that? So nobody could use the money?
Specifically to not target towns.
like villages and cities, obviously it benefits, but from the town's perspective,
Really?
it's against. So that's the bad news that
That's terrible.
there is a second cycle you can submit for. That's going to be due in the June timeframe, that if you do have those roads that go to the center, then you can submit for those. But the downside still for any roadways that go to, not roadways, any property lines that go to the center of the roadway, you have to do additional steps. You have to get a realtor, of course, acquisition individual that aren't cheap themselves to go
Like
through
we did
and
with the
get.
bridge. That's just, you basically have to acquire it all.
Yes, you have to show that you acquired all either through easement or something, even though.
Or dedication.
Yeah,
The village didn't have to acquire the town side of the road by the new school. They didn't have to buy the property from the town.
no, and like, well, just like everything now, like, you know, I don't know how your ordinance set up, but there's a lot of times where CSMs in some townships that once you convert it, a property gets split up and goes into CSM, you just automatically
You do.
convert it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's pieces here and there. So you got one roadway that may have like every other property or something like that. And you got, so that's the hokiness involved with this.
You can tell by the news on the railroad track.
Oh, yeah, then also there is a stipulation too for, you have to be 1,000 feet away from all railroad tracks if you do any streets. Because there's,
Why?
It's Hope Road.
they say there's additional coordination that's needed and it takes too long for this funding process. And then it opens up additional environmental corridors as well. So they wanted to focus this first round purely on projects that are going to be pulverized or milling, which is just
City
pavement
streets.
work. Yeah. Pulverizing is where a big machine
Yeah.
tears up the blacktop and then milling, but they say they want to keep it as simple as possible. And then anything within 1,000 feet of a railroad, the railroad may want to have a say in it. So they want to stay away from that perspective as well.
Gosh.
The second round does allow these, but then there's more stipulations and it could be up to 80-20%. 80% could be grant money and 20 would be out of your own pocket. But obviously the real estate acquisition, you know, if that cost $200,000 to get one long roadway with multiple blocks in it, you're still paying $40,000 out of your own pocket for that. So it's, yeah.
So
It's
is
not the
that
best
going to be
news.
in all of those BIL grants that they won't allow you to apply if it goes to the center of the road?
That's right now for underneath the STP is called State Transportation Program.
Yeah.
There are some other ones out there, you know, if you're looking at bridge aid, but then your bridges have to be, they recommend, you know, a 40% sufficiency or rating of
Yeah.
40% or less. And if you're looking at multi-use path, you can use it for other reasons, but it depends on what it's for. But those are the beginning stages of some of the funding. There are talking about still additional ones. The one that I was hoping for was going to be real beneficial that's coming up due in April, threw in that caveat of just to the center line of the roadway if a property's owned, and that falls in disqualification of many townships or pretty much all townships.
Yeah.
It's just like similar to the ARPA situation. You're having a tough time finding funds to use that.
No.
What were our bridges rated
Originally.
at? Any idea? What were our bridges rated at that we're fixing? Any idea?
Below 40.
They were below 40? Oh,
Yeah.
so we'd have still been in.
We have one already marked at a certain
12 ton.
12-ton weight.
Yeah. But I mean, so we would have been good for bridge stuff then, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, bridges.
Yeah, that's why
Which we did.
Yep.
Yeah, if we hadn't gotten.
Yeah, but it's
Yeah.
the same potentially the same program you might have submitted for. It's just now there's a lot more, those same programs just have a lot more money they're pushing through. The one that I just described as an existing program, but they loosened up the regulations just because of the amount of money they had to help municipalities, except for pretty much townships.
All townships.
Yeah.
So will DCTA work with WTA to get them in the future to get rid of the center of the road? I mean, that's got to hit every town in
In the state.
You could go yourself and, you know, if you have a block or something, you could go yourself and go through and talk to all those homeowners and do the process yourself before you submit an application, but that's time and money yourself that you have to get it. And then once you submit the second round of applications, their
They've already
criteria,
given you an easement for the road when it was laid out.
you know, but they need
An
actual
easements.
documentation from their end where
You can ask them all.
I got a
if you
road
did.
book from the early 1900s that says it was laid out.
we can take and I can ask them, see if it'll be allowed. But yeah, that's the hard part is,
Oh, jeez.
Like if the government put the village of Cottage Grove in charge of these programs.
Yeah.
Well, it's the benefit of larger cities and, you know.
Well, still, I mean.
Of course it is. It's all geared towards the cities.
Crap, I
It's
was
not-
hoping we could get some of that money.
so I'm still, you know, that's something we came across just recently and I was gonna follow up the DOT, push them on a little bit more because they did indicate it a couple weeks ago. And after talking to Dan, I was going through it and I was like, I'll push them on it a little bit. But last time we talked, it was, no, sorry, you would disqualify because of that property goes to the center of the roadway.
Okay, well then, next question, the culvert on Vilas Road that we want to widen,
Yep.
would that
Bridge aid.
fall in for bridge aid?
It's potential. Does it have, do you know if it has a bridge or was it reported at all and has been
No,
inspected?
but it's over 36 inches, so Dane County recognizes it as bridge.
So we could get something together for that.
We could get a Dane County, probably not the state or federal one.
Yep. So I'll have to look. That might not have any additional funding, but we still could submit that. I'd have to double check for that particular one. Because I know for one of the requirements for the full package for bridge age was 40% efficiency, but if it meets that minimum requirement, 36 inches diameter, 3 feet diameter pipe or bigger, it could be classified as a small bridge. So I'd have to look into that one. My gut tells me that's going to be a June submittal process, just because if you submit through this, it opens up, you have to look at environmental corridors and the whole kit caboodle where it's not as simple as.
That one's always in midsummer.
Yeah.
I know.
Yep. So that's that second one that we still have time on, but the first one, it wouldn't qualify just because I can tell you right off the bat, anything that involves a environmental corridor, anything outside of just, hey, that's blacktop, we're replacing with blacktop, involves a lot more parties. They look at it from not architectural standpoint, but
Logical.
there we go.
Yeah.
Archaeological standpoint as well, and environmental corridor.
Well, I'd like you to look at that one because it's narrow.
Yep.
On that roadway.
Yeah.
The amount of traffic.
We wouldn't be able to use that used pipe though.
No.
You know what I mean? If we go after money, then we'd have to replace it with new.
Right. But if we don't get anything, then we could look at that other option.
Yeah.
To save costs.
Yeah.
If we still wanted to do it.
Can the county tell us how many parcels we have in the township and where they're at? No, I'm serious.
Probably not.
I'm curious to know now.
Look at Access Dane and tell it, show the parcels and you can see where the lines all are, the parcels.
But that's not working.
They're skewed though too.
Yes.
Some of those are
Right now.
skewed though, Kim. Not all those are perfect.
Pardon?
Not all those are right
No,
though.
but for the most part.
Yeah.
They just had my survey done a month ago and it wasn't working.
There was a couple days it was down, but it's been fine. They had trouble for a day or two.
Okay, last one then, have you taken a look at Natvig Road crossing N?
Yeah, I did glance at that on the southern portion of Natvik with the southern
Southern
intersection.
portion going
Yeah.
east.
Yep. So I did look at that. Were you looking at, I guess I wanted to get a little bit better scope. I looked at it, got a rough cost estimate. Is that what you're looking for? Or what were you hoping to have the conversation go for from that? Is it doable, possible?
Yes, it's, I just want to get it stubbed in on that east side of the road so that as that business park or commercial property expands, we don't have to then fight with the county for getting that road connection.
Yep.
So that we have two ways in, North Star and Natvig into that area.
Yep, just a quick glance without actually looking at from a site perspective, doing site distances you needed for just the speed limits that are out there. Just from a quick glance, it seems like it's doable. Obviously, the county will still need their approval and more than likely they're going to add their turn lanes, just standard for any, just like what we saw in Kennedy Hills, once that increase in traffic or prediction of the increase in traffic, they want their turn lanes for a safer intersection. So that would involve that additional turn lanes, but from just a quick perspective, it seems like it's doable, but more conversations would need to occur from the county's end if that's the next step. But obviously, from the most expensive, just getting that stub out 50 or 100 feet, your most expensive is adding those turn lanes and getting that permitted and approved from Dane County.
How much?
Roughly, I just looked at some ones last year, very similar. So stubbing it out maybe 100 feet and adding those turn lanes, you're looking at potentially around that 300,000 for construction and some engineering costs involved.
Right,
Now, question,
that's great.
I got a question.
You bet.
Yes.
Do you have to upgrade the other side of the road too?
It's possible. It depends on, this is only from the east-hand side. I thought about that as well, but it depends on what the county comes back with. You could,
How much just for the
East side.
Because they'll probably make you do a turn lane and acceleration lane, right?
yeah, it's quite possible. Just like Kennedy Hills had to do the same thing. So you're upgrading the other side and you're looking at potentially could be all the way up to another 200 on top of that. Just by updating it, adding more turn lanes and so forth.
Well, they already have a short turn lane and a short acceleration lane.
Yeah, but that was done when, though?
You're
Yeah,
thinking they would want those extended?
It's
Updated.
potentially updated to current standards and current design standards and current speeds, how everything sits. That's, just a quick rough idea where just a bump out and turn lanes, acceleration and so forth on one side could be around that 200.
So $500,000.
Yeah, 500 to do both sides, potentially. That's just some rough numbers, depends on
No,
what.
I understand that. I'm not gonna hold your feet up.
So, unrelated question. Pam Dunphy.
Yep, I know Pam.
Is she close to retirement?
That, I'm not quite sure. I talk to her occasionally, but not as often, I guess, on that perspective. So I'm unsure on that. But I know she's been around for a while,
Yeah,
so.
yeah. So,
She's meeting the Chamber of Commerce this week.
oh, is she?
Yeah.
The Natvig Road addition, do you want me to put that on specifically, maybe on the next agenda to have Nick formally start working with the county and putting some numbers together? Probably nothing that we would do this year, but probably look at doing
Next year.
next year?
Yeah,
Yes.
why
Yep.
not?
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll put that on the next agenda then on 4/4 to make that a task for you to start working on.
So are you expecting him to come back with something then, or you're just gonna?
No, we're just gonna give him the task to start working on laying it out and getting approval from Dane County as to what they're going to require us to do on either side of N, I guess.
What to do is
So that
two of them.
next year, when we do our budget in October, if he comes back and says, well, it's $500,000, or if it's $600,000, then we have to have that discussion. Are we going to fund it?
Yeah, that could be some easy discussions start going, and they should have a better handle or logistics on what side or both sides, or maybe it might be a short traffic study from their end to determine. Because, even though there wasn't much on, I can't think of that road right across Kennedy now that they did was.
Buckley Ridge.
What was it?
Buckley Ridge.
Buckley Ridge, that didn't have a high traffic flow, and same with Netvik, but they still required it there.
Yeah.
Just because you're interfering, so it's quite possible. So I can have those conversations after that, because I do have a conflict Monday night, so I wouldn't be able to attend. I got another night meeting.
No, but I mean, we could approve some funds for you for doing that.
Okay.
So do you need to know, you need an estimate of what it might take for him to do that?
Yeah, I suppose.
Yeah, I can get a proposal together and send that. It's not a problem.
Okay.
I have a question. Is this a really recent expectation from Dane County that this is a tiny new road in rural town of Cottage Grove that you're requiring a turn lane for that on?
Yep.
And I'm thinking about this in comparison to in the village of Cottage Grove. I was coming south on N as school was getting out and there was a lot of traffic. And I was coming and I was approaching School Road. I mean, it was bumper to bumper traffic. There's hardly a turn lane there, and that's in the village with heavy traffic and lots of houses.
The big one is the speed limit. Once you get higher speed limit for a crash perspective, obviously you'll still get crashes in the village, but it's, maybe more fender versus a 25 mile per hour versus someone 45 mile per
So
hour.
if you're planning it for commercial, you're gonna have big trucks that are gonna be slow getting going, coming out and slowing down to turn in and.
Yeah.
25 mile an hour speed limit out there.
Traffic count keeps going up on. Yeah, I
That'll
just don't want them to come back and say they want us to build a traffic circle.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, don't even start
That's
with those
all the
jokes.
more.
Don't even start with
Go
those
ahead and
jokes.
get something built and approved now, especially before Amazon gets here.
Just the traffic flow isn't there for it yet. The traffic flow, the data wouldn't show it's not there for it. And then, your future growth that you have for businesses out there, they may look at it from a future growth perspective, but I would easily think that's cart before the horse situation where numbers may never be there, it may take.
There's probably only 20 cars on that big a day. Maybe.
And I guess I don't want them to tell us that we need to replace the bridge
The
The bridge.
on Door Creek because it's too narrow.
You're saying Epic, not, or underneath County Highway N?
Yeah,
I know you're talking about, Door Creek right there. That goes, because it goes through both. It goes through Natick and underneath N as well.
Yeah. And it's kind of narrow. I
I
have
think
no
that's-
idea what it's rated.
I think that's pushing their jurisdiction a little.
Yeah, I would hope so, so. All right, we'll
Save that discussion for another day.
take some action then on the 4th for you. Thank you.
Robert enough.
All right. Oh, we got these guys. Discuss and consider replacement and financing. Title Fire Department, Squad 1, follow up from 3/7/22 discussion.
Got $1.
You got $1? They want more than that.
I know.
What did I do with it? I thought I brought it.
Well, I was trying to get creative on trying to save us some money and stuff like that, but apparently
That's not.
best
gonna-
laid plans,
that's not gonna- That's not, probably not gonna
Kind of
happen.
did the math and you don't really save as much as you think because of the
no,
interest.
right, especially with the village changing the way that they're gonna do.
Oh, I didn't do that.
No, with the village waiting to pay for it when it gets here.
You're smiling like you don't have good news.
I don't know. I mean, I thought it was already approved last
Yeah,
meeting.
it is. We're just figuring out a way how to pay for it. Whether we pay it now or pay it later. You're gonna get the truck.
I didn't bring mine.
You with that sheet that she had?
No, I'll see if I can pull it up from last time.
We have not changed our minds. So what? What were you looking for? The numbers before, during, and after?
Yeah. I thought I grabbed it out of last night or last meeting's packet on what that squad was costing.
Yeah,
The
that's the
options
order actually now.
Yeah.
I think I have mine.
It's not saying like.
Not gonna happen.
That's where I was thinking that better one. Yeah. I'm sure that it's actually have a bridge. I'm sure it does, yeah.
I'll get the county one. It's been a while since I submitted.
Yeah, it's just the only one I remember submitting, so that's in here. Just the one for American Way. And we did it because county BP is here and then there's this here. It was-
On the squad,
Okay.
So we're like, it's our call,
was 696 something,
you know,
total.
so then we submitted it that way.
And we could have that,
They should have something.
pay that at time of delivery.
We was gonna do it ourselves.
So it saved 27,000.
I was thinking that we
Yeah. Paid them in the second quarter of 2023.
a couple years ago. And they can appreciate on it.
Is there anything due on the chassis up front?
Only if you want to get the chassis discount, otherwise you just pay it all at the end.
That's just a.
How much was the chassis discount?
Something very similar.
Yeah.
Sometimes 14.
Yeah, 14.
I don't remember.
27, so all.
It was FEMA money.
It was maybe 12 or something.
It was like half,
It was like 13,000.
something like that, if you did the chassis prepay or whatever.
Last time.
Okay.
And if you paid it in like
Submit one.
2023, I think it was like 70 something, I think. They give you one, if you waited till 2023 to do your chassis payment.
Jump to the rescue.
Yes. So when I had Deb look at if we took out the 696,863 next month, just, and we use that 2.4% interest rate that bank gave us. I don't know that that would continue to be the rate, but just so we had an idea, if we kept it for longer than 19 months, which would eat up the 27,000 advance payment discount.
Oh, really?
Yeah, almost eat it all up. It was within a couple $1,000s. So
It's not worth it.
no,
Why would you want to sit on that debt like that?
yeah,
No.
Especially seeing that we won't even have it.
right. So I didn't have the attorney draft anything because it looked like we weren't going to save any money. So I guess what we need to approve purchasing the squad for the 696,863 with that payment at time of delivery, because that's what the village did. Right?
Yeah.
That was my understanding also.
The same way you all generally always purchase
Right.
tractors, right?
And how far out is the delivery expected?
19 to 21 months.
So we passed that though. Last time.
No, you
No.
wanted us to talk to the attorney about drafting an agreement to have the village pay us.
Assuring that they
They
would
took out
pay
the
us.
loan for the whole thing, but then when we had Deb look at the numbers, it doesn't make any sense to do that. So we didn't-
19.5 to 21.5 for approximate delivery. So say 2 years.
Say what? 2 months worth of interest?
2 years. 2
In the best
years.
case?
So I guess I'm looking for a motion to approve the purchase of Squad 1 for 696,863 with payment due at delivery.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Anders, second by Williams.
So it would be the town share of that.
The town share of
So it's
that.
gonna be based on now or the year that it gets here,
It'll be based on the year that we write that check.
which might help you too.
Yes, yes. Any discussion?
Thanks for your
Hearing.
research.
Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign, motion carried. So now we have to come up with, discuss and consider financing options for 2022, 23 capital purchases, which all these fire trucks will fall into, and anything that Dan might have.
You're gonna get a new truck as well?
Well, if you could order one, can't even order one yet.
But if we're going to borrow, we should
No, I understand.
include, I think, everything that we're going
That we're
to,
going to possibly need.
yeah. So, let's see. And it's still up in the air for the tanker, if we're going to pay all of that, or if the village will pay some of that 461, 397.
They already said they aren't going to, right?
Well, that's what they told us, but now tonight and meeting before, they wanted to talk about the agreement.
Yeah.
Fire agreement. And the study said you should pay for it. So I think we're gonna have to try and hold their,
Have a long meeting on Thursday.
probably will be. But, so our worst case scenario is we pay all of that 461, 397. The engine, our portion is 255, 640 cents. The rescue, today it's 246, 282.15.
Is that our share?
As of this year, but in 22 months, when we get it, that share will probably go down because their value will go up more than what ours will. So we could be looking at how much?
$1 million.
She's adding.
I know. $963, $279,
$1 million.
$55, about $1 million.
963.
$279.
Just for fire.
But that could go down if we do get them to pay for some of the tanker. And that would lower it by almost 300,000.
I think the reason they're wanting to help pay for the tanker is they're wanting us to help pay for a second fire station.
No, they said we shouldn't. They should pay for it,
But that was their question.
probably. So Dan, what are you going to have for capital purchases for 22 and 23?
Well, if we get a new chipper, I got a price on a chipper, it's $67,481.
How old's our existing one?
1996.
Done well.
Yeah, but it doesn't get used every day.
No.
We've
How
put
many
out-
hours on it?
We've tripled the hours since I took over.
I know, how many hours are on it?
1,200.
What? 1,200 is all?
Yep. And we've tripled the hours that were on it before since I got.
You said 22, 23. Is that what you meant, or 23, 24, or what?
For the
Well,
years
it's only what
22 and
runs,
23.
For 20, for this year?
For this year and next year, if we're going to
I'm not
include
worried
it
about that.
in one borrowing.
That brings it up to $1,000,000.
that's for the chipper. If you want to add a truck, replace their 1 ton that needs to be replaced. Because it's at 100,000, but I mean, it's up to you. The 1 ton, I'm not a big pusher on because let's face it, we can't order one right now. Can't order one until probably 24.
Really?
Ford and Dodge both said we can't order one right now.
Seriously.
Having difficulty filling customer orders as opposed to commercial orders.
Yep, commercial.
Ford wants you to- for your
Anything,
current
anything
advance
commercial that you want state pricing on or green sheet on, you can't order.
1,000 off if you order in advance.
Wow,
So you're at 1,000,001.
1,030,760.
And these are all things the fire department needs coming up here in the next year.
Yep.
They're all already approved.
Yeah.
Yeah. The next one will be a ladder in 25,
28.
28.
Ladder in 28, and then engine 4 would be in
We won't
2033.
have to pay for any of that because they'll have their new station by then. So
And you have a patrol truck in 25,
Oh, what?
patrol truck in 25. That will have to get replaced.
You put an order in for it now so that you can get it in 25.
No, not international or Peterbilt, no.
really,
But everything municipality wise, anything like that's shut down right now, no orders. I mean, I don't know about fire apparatus, but we can't.
So I was just wondering, like, you can't even place an order so you can get it
No,
in
because you have to put half down when you place an order.
If you're ordering a commercial chassis, they're only giving you 10 days on the quote anyway,
Yep, if that,
if they're even quoting you.
they're not, well, these guys wouldn't even give me a price.
seriously.
So the question is, do we want to borrow that on go to the bank? Do we want to look at bond? Do we want to keep them all together in one loan, or do you want to do individuals?
Well, I think we should keep them all together. I mean, it's obviously, but I'm not sure what the best way to do it.
But you're paying when we would borrow the money close to when we would.
We'll have to borrow it sometime this year by the end of the second quarter.
And rates are going to go up.
They are. And then the question is, do you put maybe that 500,000 for NatVig in there?
No. Not my favorite thing.
Why?
I just don't, we're spending money that's just.
It's gotta grow.
Yeah.
I know,
Gotta
but
grow.
we haven't.
Don't say we gotta grow.
Yes, we do.
The population is going down. Basically, we're not growing.
What I'm saying, growing overall. Commercial.
Okay.
Get something in here to help take some burden off your tax.
We've already got, North Star Road is there.
Okay.
And you guys want to make this some big thing there, and I just don't see it. I guess the four of you do, but not me. Anyway, we're not talking about
Well,
that.
you could add more to it. You could put up a water tower or something
Yeah, we could.
for North Star Road.
Yeah.
That's only,
And then piping.
what, 2 million?
I don't know how big you want to go.
So you could furnish them with fire protection.
There you go.
So do you want to include that NatVig or not? Do you want me to have Ellers
I think
come
we should.
back
I
and
thought you
give
were
us,
gonna
I
do
thought he
that.
was going to.
Yeah, that's what I thought was happening too, actually.
well, depends on how much money we're going to borrow. It's got to be over 1 million.
This is over 1 million. It'd be 1,000,001 or 1,000,005 or 6.
Yeah.
I'd say we met Eller's parameters then for at least discussion.
Right.
I talked about it for discussion. That's what we were talking about.
And I don't know if bonding would be cheaper than what
I don't know
the
either.
bank would give us or not. We probably need to find that out.
Right.
So if you bonded and you got all the money for all that stuff at the same time, but like the one truck you won't have for 2 years.
Basically 2 years.
So you're gonna pay interest on that, or can you take the money when you need it?
Good point. That's another,
That's a good
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 point.
question to ask at that time.
Yeah. Was it like can it be like a credit line where you take it when you need it?
well, but that's a good point though. It is.
Because otherwise, why would you want to borrow for all this in one lump sum?
Start paying for it. We don't even know we're gonna get this stuff.
And not borrow?
The only thing would be that you know that the feds are gonna raise the interest rates throughout this year.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I guess we have to find out
It's
from
more
Alex how that works.
40%. So it could go up 1.75%.
Not likely, but coulda, woulda, shoulda.
Yeah.
I think we'd have a lot of questions.
Yeah, I agree.
And whether or not we would do it, we would learn in the process, and that could be helpful.
Yeah, I think we need to do that as well. Get him in here and ask him these questions.
So what amount do I tell him that we're looking for?
Maximum 1.5.
It could be a range though, you know.
I mean,
as
it
Kim
could be
said,
anything.
It could be
It
one.
could be up to 1.6.
And the point is, why would we borrow money
No,
against
but I'm-
something we don't even
But I'm just,
have?
saying, these are all questions that
Yeah.
we need to raise.
I agree. You should come here prepared to answer those questions.
Yeah, 1.6.
1.1 to 1.6, I
Yeah.
think. I'd rather have a range, so we're not focused on
Okay.
this.
I mean, I
Or
remember
this.
when we bonded before. I don't remember much about it, honestly. And I was pretty new here. I don't really know what we were doing, honestly, when we did it. But, I mean, it was projects that were identified. And so your projects are going to be over a time period. And so I don't know if you have to take all the money at once or if you take it when the projects come due, you know, that'll be important.
We'll ask him. And then we can have Deb check with the banks, see what they might be offering.
Adjust for inflation.
Yeah, but they're not gonna give us a solid number, not at this point. I
No,
mean,
they're not
they're
gonna really-
not gonna go out that far.
They'll give you what today's rates
Yeah.
would be.
Yeah, and like these prices too, like they give us, this is only good probably for 3 months.
So I'll contact Ellers. See if they can come maybe on 4/4. Talk to us. And throw out those 1.1 to 1.6. And we passed the motion, so you can sign the document for Pierce for the squad.
You guys have to sign it.
Oh, you want me to sign it?
Well, unless you want the fire department to own it.
Chris, get out
You
your
guys should
checkbook.
probably put your name on it.
Right, you're here to the phone. Okay,
So you probably have to sign it and then send it over to John Williams and have him sign it too. That's what you did for the engine at least.
okay.
We were thinking about having you finance.
You got property, don't you?
Man with you.
I thought your signature block was on the back of that. Isn't it? Okay, are we done with that? Go to Public Works.
Well, not much. It's thawing out there. We got weight limits on. I've been stopping a few people. That's always,
Is the guy down here on the end of Nora with the salt truck,
no, you want to look into that, do you?
is he running still?
Yep. I let Jen and Christina know, and they're watching for him, but I see him pulling every day. I went and talked to him twice, but I can't do anything once he gets into his lot.
Right.
Once he gets in there, I can't do anything about it. I have to somehow stop him on the road and legally I can't do that.
What's he doing?
He's overweight. He's
Yeah, wait.
on a 10-ton road.
Well, you can look into his place of business too, if you want.
Use every tool in the box. That's what my motto is.
Have you talked to Christina about it?
Yeah, and Jen, and yeah, they're all aware. They're watching him.
In the state patrol.
Ah,
Troy knows about him.
Okay.
His place of business is somewhere else in where he lives though, or what?
No.
So it's the same.
I don't think so.
So he has to take his vehicle home, obviously.
He doesn't have to.
Is that so?
Now, where would he put it?
I don't know.
Never asked Sarah.
And then I had, we did a little work for the police station this last week. Got some bulbs and stuff fixed up for him and
He came today and looked at the cabinets and thinks they need to be replaced. He has some, he doesn't have any uppers, but he's got lowers that he thought he could probably
put in.
get moved in there. So
That's good.
he was gonna do some measurements and talk to Dale.
Next time you're down there too, I replaced that water filter. Next
Yeah.
time you're down there, I put it in the garbage can in that room just so you can look at it. Look at what that looks like when you go in there
Okay.
and just see if we want to do something, or if Houston wants to do something. That came out filled with clay.
Clay?
what?
I mean, it was red mud inside that jar when I took it down.
So the pipe is rusted out.
They got dirt and everything
broken or-
in the water supply line.
Down
Okay.
So either they got a
Take
break,
a plastic bag with me and take it.
they got either a break in the line, or when they ran the line to the other shop, they might have done
Can they
something.
find out where the
Done
break
something
is?
there, but they might want to get another one and just see, I mean, what's it been, a week, or last week I did it.
well, it's probably still, water's going through it, so you.
Yeah, it's still got
I
water
know
going
where
through
it
it,
could be in the well.
but when we turned on the faucets and replaced those screens, it ran red for a while.
So
Okay.
Are you sure the filter is still there? So you will be able to
Yeah.
find it?
Yeah.
It's in a locked.
It's in the locked room,
Oh, okay.
It's in a locked room.
so, yeah.
Secure.
And then,
He has a key for that.
the door that goes into the garage, the double door deal, the strikers that hold that shut, we adjusted the one so it holds better, but they're actually missing their guide plates. I don't know if Houston would have anything like that laying around.
I'll ask that Tim when he comes back on the cabinets.
Okay, all right. Otherwise, I mean, we could get them at whatever, Nelson Young and Deerfield. But like Menards and them, they don't carry anything like
Yeah.
that, so.
Let me ask that Tim and see if he's maintenance, so
Okay,
you might know.
because you try opening the one door and you almost push the other one open in the meantime, and then it leaks air. They can smell when, I don't know why they're leaving the car running in the garage, but when they turn it on, they can smell that in the building, so.
Okay.
Yeah, and that's all I had written down, so. Nothing else
All right.
new.
Kim,
There's about 200 absentee ballots that went out last week. They have to either mail them or hand deliver them to me, no Dropbox.
it's gone.
I noticed that.
Tomorrow is the beginning of early voting in the clerk's office. I guess that's about it for elections. About 44 people have taken the park shelter survey so far. Annual reports went to the printers last
week.
Wednesday, so they should be getting out this week sometime, I would think. I'm probably gonna release the electronic version online maybe tomorrow. So that will also release the ad for the deputy clerk, so we'll see if we get any interest in that. And that's about it.
Okay, board reports and communications. Remember next Monday, 8:30, town hall for the WTA for, did you receive your packets in the mail?
Yes,
You did.
yes.
Okay, And then I've got Christie on here for a report on the informational workshop on the new proposed landfill and sustainability campus.
I actually have a lot of stuff, so Eric is sitting here patiently, if you want to take him first, so he doesn't
I don't
have
know
to
what
do
he
my
has.
information.
Deer Grove EMS Commission
Right,
as a
right.
committee report.
He,
As opposed to being virtual, I decided to show my shiny face.
Okay. No, you go ahead.
Okay. I
Relax.
I was
She's got a
very
pile of notes, let me tell
interested.
you.
I was very interested and I went early, so I spent some time talking with John Welch ahead of the presentation. And I have to compliment Madeline Wedford. She was there also. In fact, she sat right next to me and she had her computer going and she was writing everything. And she did a great job in the paper. It's really very well done. And I guess I'm interested, so very interested, because every time I drive to Madison, I drive past the landfill. My personal philosophy is if everyone had to drive past the landfill, we would change the way we live. That we would be wasting less and recycling more, which is really what he's aiming for in the very next landfill, which I don't think that Mike or Chris were surprised when it was announced that it's moving across 12 and 18 to Yahara Hills. Because after we toured the Rotafelt landfill and we saw the huge investment, as in like 29 million, in the recycling of gas, you knew it was going to be continued close by so they could continue this process. So, and that's really, they're trying to emphasize that more and more. Some of the statistics, you're interested in statistics, I am. 290,000 tons of trash go into that landfill each year. And that's while they're still recycling cardboard and tires and shingles and bikes and household chemicals and electronics and construction demolition. It was interesting to me to hear.
Do they still have a market for a lot of those recyclables?
He didn't say, so I can't tell you.
See, because I was kind of wondering about that too, because it's like a bottle and a half of this and a half a bottle of that.
But people come in, he said that they actually go through 39 tons of chemicals get
Really?
exchanged every year, which amazed me, 39 tons. And they take in 80,000 tons of construction and demolition material each year. It's amazing. 657 tons of tires. Just amazing. Anyway, among the things that they're wanting to recycle more of are mattresses. And I was impressed to know, currently they get between 20,000 and 24,000 mattresses each year at the landfill. And there's a firm in Iowa that is recycling them. And they have set up a program in La Crosse, right across the river. And they're recycling mattresses. And I actually saw in California that this project was done by a company out there. And he's hoping that he can get them to come to Dane County and have that as one of the additional recycling projects that once they're across the road in Yahara. And for the next, it will continue to be a golf course through 2026. And then they will be taking half the land to develop it, to get started in the sustainability campus at that point. And they're really wanting it to be a lot of recycling and composting. And where are the people that have come here, looking for composting? They're hoping to be doing a third of everything will be composted. He said right now, food is a third of what they get into the landfill.
Mm-hmm.
A third, and they're wanting all of that to be, and the plan is to have food composted once they open that. So, which will be after 2030, because that's when Rotafelt.
How will they separate it?
That's going to be the next bill we get from our waste and recycling hauler because they're going to have.
Well, they tried it
They
in
tried it.
Madison, didn't work at all.
I know.
Fitchburg, remember back in the day? Yeah, it was.
Yeah, that was a disaster.
Another problem. I hope, but it sounds good.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Sure.
That's what things do.
But that's the problem,
You don't have
though.
a plant for it at all, but
It all
it sounds
sounds
good.
good.
Well, they're hoping to develop it, Mike. And
Yeah.
that's the thing, that he's starting at this point. Just
dump
like
will be
he's
open
hoping he
before
can
that.
get.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure you're probably right. But if you don't throw out the idea and get people thinking in that direction, it doesn't happen.
Yeah,
So.
it's got to start somewhere.
Exactly. And they're starting with the 4 phases of DNR approval before they can get this open, along with Dane County Board and Madison City Council. So, they have lots of hoops to jump through before any of this is going to happen. But he has a map that he has envisioned out for, the recycling, but also the a maker space to have people making things out of. I mean, it sounds science fiction, but it also sounds artsy, and he hopes to have Habitat for Humanity there and Dane County and Habitat Recycle Store there, taking stuff right at Pull Down and turning it into the Habitat Restore. Instead of being on Monona Drive, will be at the Dane County landfill, or an additional one, which is kind of interesting to me anyway. Another thing that I learned is that they have a trash van. It's an exhibit that was developed by the Madison Children's Museum to give ideas about composting, kind of from a user's perspective. This is how much trash we have, and this is what we are hoping to do with it, and this is what you can do. So that trash van is available to go to the Kydro Festival. All kinds of things anyway.
I mean,
All kinds of community events.
Community events, right. So that exhibit. Other statistics, they collect and produce 2.5 million gallons of reusable gas a year. And the Dane County Parks are planning to turn the Rotafelt landfill into a recreation area. And they're accepting ideas for how that could be used.
Ski.
How do you recreate? Yeah, I mean, the initial thoughts, skiing, but there's no runoff area. You got the AB to the east, 12 and 18 to the south,
Use a road.
and you got the marsh to the north.
You have all those pipes coming up in race.
Boink. Yep. Make them look like trees.
You have walking paths, ATV park. Can't plant any trees.
That'd be awesome.
Oh,
Sorry,
wow.
ATV park.
Oh, yeah.
A dog park.
Oh,
There you
yeah.
go.
Dog
All
park
the
and all.
ATVs that people, or dog park, yeah. All the ATVs that want to drive on.
I just don't know how you recreate on a mountain.
Especially one that tall.
Yeah.
And with
Then
no
you can't
run.
hurt the cat.
Yeah.
I know.
I mean, in regard to height, that's not terribly tall for a ski hill.
Well, I'm just,
Yeah.
that's my.
Oconomowoc wasn't a very successful landfill turned into a ski hill, so I don't know if you'd want that.
Well, it
We'll
was,
see what they come up with.
right.
So did they have any timeline as to when they're going to start talking to the communities?
Yeah, they're gonna start, well, after they get approval from Dane County Board and the Madison City Council. When they get those 2 approvals in hand, and then their process of the 4 steps of DNR approval, at that time, they're planning to talk to communities more.
They indicate where they're going to get their clay from?
Nobody
Yeah.
asked,
Good point.
nobody
At,
asked.
at a very high expense to the town.
Okay,
To make our money.
all right. Well, thank you.
That's it?
I have more.
You read that in the paper.
I have more.
No,
I
thank you.
thought-
No, I didn't mean that. No, please don't.
What are they gonna do with the composting? Are you gonna sell that to citizens?
That's part of the plan is to be working on that. And they're open to your suggestion to working with you. They're hoping to work with private businesses on these things, like the mattress recycling and Habitat for Restore. You know, it's not it's a private business. you know.
Mhm.
That's
Well,
what
I
they're
think
trying
it's a
to
good
do.
idea to have Habitat there and to look at all the possibilities of recycling some of these mattresses. I mean,
Well,
that's a-
where does our garbage company take the mattresses now?
Dane County
Dane
landfill.
County.
Is that where they go?
That's part of the 20,000 to 24,000 mattresses.
So that is
a year.
our
But see,
garbage
we're
company.
accepting trash from surrounding counties.
Yeah, that's
So
right.
it's not like it's just coming from us, you know.
No,
me,
but
Dane
I
County.
agree, but you know, see it, look at how much trouble Dane County has had to try to replace its own landfill. What are some of these smaller counties doing?
Well, what was it? How many years left on the landfill now? On,
This opened in 1985
you're right.
and it's been, I'm sorry. what
When
was
is it gonna, how many more years
It
are they gonna,
2030.
2030.
2030, right? And then what?
Then they have to be across the
Then
road.
they're gonna take out the other 18 holes of the golf course? then?
Oh,
Yep.
Half of it,
That's,
half of it. is-
well, I know that, but then what's gonna happen? Are they gonna
Then
have to
they're
take
gonna
the
go-
other?
Then they'll take
18
the other
holes?
half.
Then they're gonna take the other
Sure.
half.
Go ahead.
And they'll take O-Chunk.
That's something?
No, then
Yeah.
that's a good place to have the ski ramp down.
because if they were really smart, they would have moved AB further to the east
Yeah,
and gone all the way to the top of that hill.
yeah.
Ah.
Well, they haven't been smart since we've been dealing with them.
Just
They haven't been
thinking.
smart.
All right,
Crazy.
you wanna give Deer Grove?
Okay. I'm trying to
We
remember.
met.
Space notes.
We met, we
Approve the minutes. We approve the bills.
approved bills,
They have
right
had
on.
a lot of calls, especially in January.
January was
Amazing
a very
number of
busy
calls.
month.
Amazing.
February.
Is there any
back
reason
down.
why?
COVID. Some
I'm
of it.
I'm just asking.
No clue.
No
I
clue.
mean, we did pick up a couple extra calls from our neighbors in early January, but that wasn't a big, it was just busy.
And you
A
also
lot
have,
busy.
have new staff that you're working on, volunteers.
Yep, we just brought on 5 volunteers. The last 2 were oriented today. 2 of the 5 have already scheduled themselves, which is really good. We're always trying to adapt and implement new processes to make the onboarding smoother. I think this time went a little bit better than other times. We don't have Kim. I mean, so that makes everything super hard for us. So we have to.
Oh.
What's that got to do with it?
He's brown nosing you.
I am.
Watch out, he's got a favor coming up.
No favors, no favors. But it just recently points out how much effort gets put into hiring processes. Not only do we have the interview phase and then each component of that, just entering those 5 new staff members into all of our platforms was about 5 hours of my time on Wednesday to prepare for Thursday. So when we talked in past months about potential countywide hiring processes, we hope that some of these items can be automated. And as a, for instance, half of the paperwork we need is all federal and state government W-2s, not W-2s, but W-4s, WT-4s, I-9s, all that stuff that could potentially be automated and save on real person time, where all we would have to do is check a box to say thank you for doing it. Yeah, so hopefully these fellows will all pan out. They're all super interesting and super interested. So
Thank you.
Emergency government.
What do we do with it?
if I could add quick a couple things. So we talked about some response time related stuff. And those are, I'll be working on setting some benchmarking for those at a 90%.
Progress.
What's that?
It's a work in progress.
Yeah, 90th percentile for the fractile response. But those are numbers that we set a benchmark that, as you know, Chris and Christy bring back, that you have input on. So if you'd like to see us meet something, then that's something as a group we can talk to and benchmark towards it. Additionally, as we work to implement more items from the PAA study, that involves staffing as one of their recommendations to add full-time staffing. So the discussion will further itself this month with the results of our annual audit, which might tell us how if any much money we have in the fund balance to maybe use for staffing. But why I bring that up here is it's not just a 2022 thing. That those budget dollars will carry into 2023 and have a direct effect on our request for budget dollars in 2023. So and of course, and beyond. But why I bring it up is those will be discussions to have, and I understand that April 2022 is very early to consider the 2023 budget, but we have to be sensitive of every community's budget overall when we make these requests and adjustments. So you'll see some of that.
Did you give the village their 5-year warning as far as that, seeing they're doing 5 years out for stuff? I'm serious. I mean,
I
it's
made
just,
exactly the same statement to them before coming over here, so.
Yeah.
It's whatever.
sometimes the truth hurts.
I know. I understand that completely.
Emergency government.
What do we do with the main line for emergency government down there? We discussed that.
We discussed it,
Yep.
and we discussed potentially moving all 4 of our lines to a different provider.
I mean, yeah, the cell phones.
Correct.
I'm talking about the main phone line down there that's
Landline.
paid for, landline.
We didn't think we needed it, but we didn't make any
We didn't.
decision on whether we should get rid of it or not. We have,
I think we voted on it though. We did vote on it, I'm sure.
I mean,
If you send me that, I'll take a look at it tomorrow. Yeah, we decided we didn't need it,
I thought
but we'll take, once we get
you were gonna
this,
get at least one of those cell phones
yeah,
on
with
the
one of the cell
other
phones,
networks.
but we're looking at maybe getting them, we can even get them cheaper than we're.
So you can always get through.
that's a process, and we're kind of working through it. So
We're fine right now, but yeah.
I don't know that we're going to be able to end up with FirstNet, but we have to get pricing from them first, and that's all in progress.
I don't think they need.
But we will make one of those cell phones, the number down the basement, or even 2, you know.
That's $60 a month.
Huh?
$60 a month for it.
Yeah, we've been paying that all along.
I understand, but cell phones go out more frequently than landlines do.
Well, we've, the 4 we've had for like 3 years.
We haven't had a major issue here.
Oh.
We haven't.
No, well, sure they do.
Nothing's ever happened here.
Steve, we've got 3 other lines down there,
3 other what, landlines?
landlines.
Yeah, they have all.
They
all
have-
the
We've got all the ones that they
way-
have upstairs.
Okay,
And
all
so
right.
it's not
I'm
a-
just,
Not
I
a
was
big
just
deal.
talking, the way you made it sound like
I think
we don't
years,
have any landlines.
yeah, I think
So
years
you're
ago
One
that
of
it
the
was,
cell phones so that you could always get through.
Yeah.
You would have
it
priority.
has been for a lot of years. So it's just looking at it now, and why even have it? You've got all the other landlines down there.
It's a line. It's all out.
And we made
That's it.
2 appointments.
Yes,
And you got, TDS was in and got Flynn Hall hooked up?
Not hooked up, planned to hook up. We made a plan,
Okay, what's the plan?
and now they'll schedule to come in and do it.
Oh,
For-
we don't
for
know how
Wi-Fi?
long.
A couple weeks, he said it'd probably be before they contact us.
Okay.
Wi-Fi, yeah.
Yeah.
And
And
we
we
already-
already changed that clock.
We already checked the outlet. The outlet works where it's gonna go, so we just gotta do a little light dusting.
Okay.
Next meeting agenda, do we want to set the road inspection date?
Oh,
Yes.
yeah.
Okay.
Did you get what Verona's paying for hot mix this year?
Yeah, and they got a good price. So,
They're close to the factory.
Well, we're not exactly a long ways away
we're
either.
not a long ways away from one of them, so hopefully they give us a good price too.
Ready for your
I move we adjourn.
second.
Motion by Duplace, second by Williams for adjournment. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you, one and all.
Yeah.
I was kind of hoping this one was gonna last.
Is the recording off?